So lately I have been enjoying using colored pencils in my sketchbook. I actually started a new sketchbook, surprise, just so I could do colored pencil sketches in it, because for some reason my brain likes to have separate sketchbooks for different art materials. So yes, that's what I've been doing. I got a new Royal Talons art creation sketchbook, a blue one this time, and I've been using colored pencils to do like some landscape illustration stuff. So I have always liked using colored pencils. However, there have been things that have frustrated me about them. One of those things being that it takes so many layers to get enough color down on the paper and to make it have a well blended look. And sometimes, for me, that gets a little, it's just too slow. It's kind of like hard. I think I get bored. But I've been doing that in the sketchbook, and I do layer a lot, but I've also told myself that it's okay if you can still see some of the white of the paper or pencil lines. You don't have to totally blend it out, because if I don't want to, then I don't want to. There's not a wrong way to use colored pencils, and there's not a wrong way to put stuff in your sketchbook. So I've been trying to give myself more freedom in the way that I use things, so I don't drive myself crazy. But as you can see by the amount of layers I'm putting on this page, it's still hard for me not to just keep blending and blending and blending. So the colored pencils I'm using are the Kalour 120 set, and overall I'm pretty happy with it. It is obviously a budget set of colored pencils, so there are things I wish these pencils could do that they just can't, because they are a cheap set. Like, sometimes I feel the amount of color you get in the pencil is just not what I want it to be or what it should be. And that, I'm fairly certain, is because they are a budget set. Because I do have some Derwent Inktense pencils that I got not too long ago, and even just using them dry without activating the water, I can tell a huge difference in the amount of color that goes down on the paper versus like these ones. So eventually I know I want to get more pigmented colored pencils, especially if I keep using them as much as I have been lately. I also am missing some of the more muted earthy colors, which a lot of colored pencil sets just don't include those. And I've been looking at the Derwent drawing pencils, because they have all those. That's like a set of muted earthy colors, and I just think that would be awesome to have. Plus they're Derwent brand and they're really good quality, so I wouldn't have any pigment problems using those. So those are the next art supply I think I want. So in this picture, I'm just drawing a cabin in the woods with some mountains behind it. I used a reference I found on Pinterest, however you say that website. and I'm not going to be selling or making reproductions of this, so I figure it's okay just as a study in my sketchbook. But I have very much enjoyed just sitting down with colored pencils and drawing whatever I feel like drawing. It in a way reminds me of doing art as a kid, just sitting down with pencils in hand and making something. And because I know a little bit more about drawing than I did when I was a kid, I can make something and have it actually turn out okay. Because like I said, I've always liked colored pencils and the thought of doing art with them, but I could never just get them to work for me, because I would either lose interest before I could get the colors blended the way I wanted, or I didn't have the skills to draw what I wanted to draw and it looked weird. So I am finding more success with them as a sketchbook tool. So some things I like about colored pencils are just their portability. You get a good carrying case and you can just grab it and go with your pencils. You don't need paintbrushes, you don't need water, you don't need a mixing pad. You just have them. You do need a pencil sharpener, but that is something I very much enjoy about them. And I've also liked just sketching with them, planning out a picture and using a colored pencil instead of just a regular pencil. And just the feeling of holding the pencils in your hand and making art. I find it very interesting to, oftentimes when I do artwork in my sketchbook, I listen to an audiobook at the same time. And then when I go back and look at my sketches later, I can remember what was happening and which book I was listening to just by looking at the picture while I was drawing. And I just think that's funny how your brain works. I mean, looking at a picture and I can think, oh yeah, that's when he hid in the knapsack so he could go on the adventure with the rest of the people. That's what I think of when I look at this picture. I think something about colored pencils I wish was something they could do is layering light colors on top of dark colors. Because you can layer dark on top of light, but you cannot go the other way around. And I just think that would be super cool if colored pencils worked that way, because then you could approach your picture more like a painting and it wouldn't matter if you did things in the wrong order, because you could still add things in later that you missed. Or you could do the whole background and then add the cabin in, and that would be cool. To some extent you can do that with Neocolor 2 wax pastels, because they do layer light on top of dark. They do, if you rub them too hard, they will blend into the background a little bit, so you gotta be careful that way, but they do layer on top of each other like that. Something else that I find slightly difficult with colored pencils too is making grass textures, because I just find myself either going way overboard and trying to draw every single blade of grass, or not putting enough of the texture in so it looks just like little sparse sections of blades of grass, and it just looks weird. So I might need to work on making better grass with colored pencils. And obviously there is some proportion issues with my cabin that I drew. It's not perfect, but it is my sketchbook, so it's not like I'm going for finished painting look here, but it's the general idea of a cabin, so I was happy enough with it. But I do definitely think I want to look for the Derwent drawing pencils. If any of you have used them or also want them, let me know in the comments. Alright, this is my finished drawing here. Thank you for watching this video, and I will talk to everyone in the next one.